Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's DEI Talk. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, so I was thinking about what topic we would talk about this week, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting really excited. I'm actually recording this on Thursday, and I'm getting excited because tomorrow night, our own Illinois Fighting Illini are going to be taking on Wisconsin. So I know I'm kind of the new kid on the block, and I've only lived in Illinois a short time, but I've actually been a big Illinois fan for at least 12 years. That's how long I've known my wife. And her whole family went to U of I, so it's a big part of her family. So she has to root for Oklahoma State, where I'm from, so I have to root for Illinois. So it kind of works out both ways for us. But I can't tell you how excited I am tomorrow night and see what our Fighting Illini can do. So, but that being said, I wanted to kind of have a quick discussion about college mascots and college names, because I know this is a topic that can evoke a lot of different emotions, a lot of different feelings, and it's a very complicated topic. Look at our own team name, the Illinois Fighting Illini. So again, I'm certainly not an expert on it. I've only lived in Illinois a short time, but I understand that Chief Illinois went away in 2007, and I think we can all certainly understand why Chief Illinois is no longer a part of the University of Illinois. Where I found it really interesting is when I first moved here in January, I found this Facebook group that you can trade basically Illinois memorabilia, clothing, anything you can trade, cards, pictures, footballs, basketballs, anything you can think of. There's a group, and they're all pretty much here in Illinois, where you can trade things, and people can post, "Hey, I'm looking to sell this for $20. Anybody interested?" What I found is that a lot of the stuff that's on this website are things that feature the Chief. And people are very passionate about the Chief. And again, I'm not here to say one way or the other, how you should feel about the Chief. That's certainly not my role. But I think it's important for us to at least discuss it. This one gentleman posted really a passionate speech about he was trying to acquire as much Chief memorabilia as he could, and he wrote this long kind of post about how he was born in Champaign, how he has 2 degrees from the University of Illinois, about how strongly he felt about preserving Chief Illinois and how he felt it was important. He also said that he's full-blooded Native American, so which I found really interesting. So, and again, this is one person's opinion, solely his opinion. And then, he would post it, and then people would respond to him, either defending him or criticizing, saying that that it was the right decision by the university to do away with Chief Illinois. And it was an interesting back and forth discussion. So, again, I'm certainly not here to tell you how you should feel about this topic. But again, I do think it's interesting for us to be able to look at a few other examples. Florida State University, they are the Seminoles. Again, so if you've ever seen a Florida State football game, their Chief Osceola is their mascot. He still rides out in the stadium. He on a horse in full Seminole regalia. He has a flaming spear that he pushes down into the in the middle of the football field. Florida State was allowed to have the Seminoles, and they continue to be allowed to be called the Seminoles. And one of the main reasons they were doing so is that the Seminole tribe still allows Florida State to do this. So it kind of leads you to think, okay, well, if a Native American tribe gives its permission and says it's okay, you do it in a respectful manner, should they be allowed to continue to have that mascot? And again, there is no right or wrong answer. It is your opinion on what you think it would be the best approach. But let's look at a couple of other examples of universities who changed their mascot. Syracuse University in New York, for the longest time, they were known as the Orangemen. And again, they had a Native American mascot who would be along the sidelines during games, much similar to Chief Illinois. Syracuse, about 15, 20 years ago, changed their name from Orangemen to just Orange, and now they're just known as the Orange. The University of Louisiana Monroe, they were known as the Indians for the longest time. Again, similar mascot. When they changed their name to the Warhawks, and they're now known as the Warhawks, and they no longer have a Native American mascot. I think the most interesting one is the University of North Dakota. They are known as the Fighting Sioux for a long time, because Sioux Indians are native to North Dakota. And when the NCAA was looking at this, Whereas Florida State, the Seminole tribe allowed Florida State to keep that. North Dakota's Sioux tribe said, we do not want North Dakota using that name anymore. It's offensive. It creates stereotypes, and we don't like it. So North Dakota changed their team name. They're now, instead of known as the Fighting Sioux, they're now known as the Fighting Hawks. So again, it's really interesting to see how different Native American tribes view this issue, how different universities view this issue, and it's really a fascinating discussion. A couple other teams that I want to mention that have created some controversy. Look at even here in our own state, Bradley University in the Peoria area. They're known as the Braves. Again, Braves referring to Native Americans. And again, they don't have what would be considered to be, an inappropriate, hostile mascot. But again, just the name Braves in and of itself, has created controversy, just like it has with the Atlanta Braves in Major League Baseball or the Cleveland Indians in Major League Baseball. And then the next state over in Indiana, Valparaiso University. They're known as the Crusaders. And again, if you've seen their mascot, it is primarily basically a knight dressed up in full, knighthood, if you will. But again, the term Crusaders has gotten a lot of, because of what has happened historically, has gotten a lot of interesting feedback. So it's interesting that they have not changed their name. There are two universities that still use the team name Rebels. The University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, and the University of Mississippi. They still use the team name Rebels. And again, you can judge for yourself whether or not Rebels is offensive, but both UNLV and Ole Miss, Ole Miss specifically, had a colonel dressed in kind of old Southern dress, looked like an old a Confederate military general. They did away with that mascot many years ago because of the offense that was generated as a result of it. And literally just a couple months ago, earlier this year, UNLV had a mascot. His name was Hey Reb, and he looked like another Confederate Southern general. They did away with him. And again, my aunt, who still lives in Las Vegas, she's a UNLV grad, and she said that the university has gotten rid of all pictures and references to Hey Reb, just like U of I did away with Chief Illiniwek. It's really, really interesting to see. The final university I want to mention is University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the Fighting Irish, but the term Irish hasn't generated near the controversy as Sioux or Illini, which I find very interesting. And again, an Irish is not Native American, but it refers to a particular ethnic group. And they have a mascot that's, a traditional Irish guy dressed up, as if he's going to fight. So, but we haven't heard in discussions near the concern about Fighting Irish as we have about, Fighting Sioux or Fighting Illini. Again, very fascinating situation. Again, when I was back home, I went back into Oklahoma in June a couple months ago to visit my family for the first time since I moved here. And I saw one of my old coworkers. Her and I had lunch, and she's from a small town in Oklahoma, and her high school team name, they're known as the Savages. Real strong controversy. For the longest time, her town, they're known as the Savages. They had a Native American mascot, dressed in full regalia, and had a spear, and was really kind of warlike, and would be on the sides at football games. Well, the town had voted to felt that it had been long enough, and it was time to do away with that mascot for very, very good reason. But they went, instead of with an Indian mascot, they instead went with I want to say it's like some type of hawk, some type of eagle, something along those lines. So that is their new mascot, but they kept the name Savages. So they're still known as the Savages, just with a different mascot. And again, I find this fascinating because where do we draw the line? Where do we look at it? Is it the mascot itself, or is it the team name that's associated with it? Again, my job is not to sit here and tell you what you should believe and what you shouldn't believe. You all have your own opinion, and you should, really think about how strongly you feel about this particular topic. But I think it's important for us to educate ourselves and to really think about this, because again, with college sports being such a big part of who we are as a country, and what we saw this summer with everything going on, we saw that the Washington Redskins are no longer a thing. They are now the Washington football team. Society felt strongly enough that Redskins had, was offensive enough that they have now retired that name, and the Washington will never be known as the Redskins ever again. But at what point do we continue to engage these topics, and we look at team names to figure out what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, and where do we draw the line? Again, I think it's a fascinating topic. So my challenge to you is sometime in the next week is to get on the internet and just research Native American mascots. Just do a quick Google search and read an article or two and learn about this. Learn about the different arguments that are out there for those that support it and those who are strongly against it. And again, form your own opinion about what you think is the proper way to look at this. And again, I like everybody, I certainly have my opinions on it. But again, I think it's important for us that this is a topic that's not going away. It's going to continue to be for society to look at. And again, because sports are such a big part of who we are as Americans, I think it's so critical that we engage more in these types of topics. So that being said, can't wait to watch the Illini play this weekend. Hope we beat Wisconsin. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And again, I challenge you to do just a little bit of research on this topic to educate yourself more. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.